So that gets us towards the end of the main part of the program, and we've got Charlie Prell from the Farmers for Climate Action to conclude the day with a perspective from a concerned farmers' point of view, I guess, Charlie. I like to sort of start these days, if we can, though I forgot this morning to get James in at the start, but you know, at the start of the day and the end of the day, we have a farmer perspective just to ground us. So over to you, Charlie.
Thank you very much, Jock. Huge congratulations on putting together such a wonderful program. It's just been a step up from the first webinar you organised a month or so ago. So congratulations, and also thanks to Tash for doing all the technical stuff behind the scenes around the country, which is fantastic. So I just want to talk about one thing, and I'm just going to share my screen. That is the latest data, emissions data we have from Australia. It's 2018, December 2018. And you can see on that pie graph, the big elephant in the room is energy. If you look at this one, that's electricity, more than 30%. Stationary energy, which doesn't include electricity, is 20%. And transport is nearly 20%. Fugitive emissions from gas is a very, very rapidly emerging problem as the gas export industry ramps up. From there, around the pie graph to there is about 80% of Australia's emissions. And everything we've heard today is about tackling those emissions. But today, we're only talking about this bit here, the 13% or so of agriculture. And as you identified earlier, Jock, if 80%, I think you said, of those emissions is from diesel, then you could easily add diesel into this part of the mix as well. So with that threat, there's just a huge opportunity being presented to farmers to host all of the renewable energy infrastructure that Charles talked about and be paid for that. Preferably the community ownership component of that would be substantial, but also to sequester carbon in the soil and offset some of the emissions from transport and the gas industries on a one-way trip to oblivion anyway. Everybody, except a couple in this country, understand that. So with the threat of climate change, Charles talked about it, again, there's also opportunities. There always is opportunities when there's threats emerging. And we need to be in a space as a farmer and as a community, a regional community, we need to be in a space to be brave enough to stand up and challenge the threat. And then we're in a space where we can take advantage of those opportunities. I didn't know until this morning, in New South Wales alone, 200 million tonnes of coal ash are dumped every year. 200 million tonnes. And that is a consequence of burning coal to generate electricity. That is a sideline to all of this, but it's also something that we really need to address. I just had one other point I want to make. I'm the Deputy Chair of Farmers for Climate Action. We've produced this report. It's called the Regional Horizons Report, which was our response to the call for a recovery initiative from the COVID-19 pandemic. I really encourage anybody that's still here, everybody that's listening, to have a look on our website for this report. It's focused on regional Australia. It's the only report that I've seen that is focused on regional Australia. And in that report, we go into some detail about how we can stimulate regional economies specifically, including farming economies. The details are on our website. So that's all I wanted to share. But I do want to say, if we're brave enough to face this threat and to live, we have to be brave enough to face this threat, because we're going to be living in a climate that is already changing dramatically. In 2020, we're only just in the first week of September. We've already had a summer from hell, bushfires and drought and then bushfires. and then an unbelievably fertile seasonal, I'm not sure what you'd call it, response to the drought and the smoke. I think an autumn that was better than most springs, a horrendously wet winter where I live. This is not general, and now we're already talking about the summer from hell, the 2020s, a year we never want to see again. Well, I think we're going to have to sort of start contemplating that maybe 2020 is the first year that we're going to see this stuff, and maybe not every year, but becoming more and more common into the future. And if we can be brave enough to grasp some of the opportunities that are being presented this afternoon, as communities, as farmers, as regional communities, with the assistance of government, and there are governments all over the country that are moving rapidly towards addressing climate change, not just acknowledging, addressing it, then we'll be in a really good position to sustain our community and our lifestyle into the future. So congratulations, Jock and Tash, again for putting this together. It's been a wonderful afternoon.
All right. Thanks, Charlie. That's really nice. Yeah, look, there's lots of really interesting things going on. I mean, that's my point I keep coming back to is a story I told, well, the story about my daughter who came back from uni and she was sort of kicking and screaming about the sort of the woes of the world. And then we started talking about some of the actual things that are happening, that are actually being done, things that are developing, people are working on things, and things that people don't generally even get to hear about. So, and that's why this is important to sort of push and you know, show what's going on and what can be done. So, and the net result of that is that, you know, after an hour or two's chatting and looking at stuff, she ended up within a lot more positive space than where she was. So I think it's something that's not been talked about enough, and the opportunities that present, or the opportunities that it presents to, you know, everybody in the community and to the problems that we're facing is really, really huge things. So we can, you know, I'm excited about what's going to happen in the future rather than sort of sit there shaking and quivering about sort of the fearful things that are going to happen. So, you know, and I think that's a much better place to be, looking at opportunities. So look, the opportunity to win one of these shirts does exist if you fill in the survey that Tash will talk about in a minute. But apart from that, look, thanks for popping in. Thanks for sharing the afternoon. Thanks for people for all their input and questions and speakers, you know, all the stuff that's made the day really nice. And it just a reminder that it is recorded and does exist on the web and can be found. So if you want to show it to someone, just point them in this direction and they can chase it down. Okay. Tash, over to you. Have we got a survey story going on?
Thanks, Doc. Yes, I've got the survey ready, so I'll send that out now. You should receive it to your email addresses. And the recordings I will try and get up by tomorrow afternoon. So, and I will make an announcement that you'll receive to your emails when they're up and ready. Thanks, everyone.
Great, Tash. Thanks. Like I say, there is one lucky door prize for a survey completer. And you do win the limited edition Big Brass Mug equivalent, which is the Saving the Planet shirt. So, so look, hope you enjoyed that. And look, we'll be back in about 6 or 8 weeks with version 3 with a hydrogen focus, and probably looking at another one that, after that, which will be looking at actual stuff that's in existence, such as electric bikes, electric ATVs and things like that. So, all right, thanks for coming. Enjoy the afternoon and see you next time, hopefully. Hooroo.
Thanks, Jock. Thanks, Tash.
Thanks,
Thank
Jock.
you.
Great day.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Tash.
Thank you.
And thanks, Charles and Charlie and Joe.